Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayatayo Tarabo Vinedustam Sarvabhutam Ridimanatoshmi. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astol Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astol Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the assembled Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. So today, just before we begin our Falshruti, I'd like to share a beautiful bhajan from Gita Bali, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing his urgency for the conditioned jiva to quickly take shelter of this process of remembrance of Radha and Krishna. And I was reading today and he just expresses it in such a beautiful way. I thought it would enhance our remembrance and appreciation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because I've said many times that to enter into this Jaiva Dharma, we need to appreciate from whose heart it's manifest. And the more we can appreciate him, the more we're going to be able to reciprocate with his teachings. So this is called Bhajan Giti. And it's on page 94 in this book, if you happen to have it. He says, I'll just read the English translation, or it's Bhajere, Bhajere, Amara, Mana, Ati, Manda. That's the first line. So I'm just going to read the English translation. Oh, my wicked mind, just worship the Lord. If one does not worship the Supreme Lord, what is the alternative? Very beautiful. What is the alternative if you don't worship Krishna? Therefore, simply engage in the worship of the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Krishna in the forests of Vrindavan. Worship Shri Shri Radha and Krishna in the forests of Vrindavan while giving up all desires for cultivation of knowledge and performance of fruitive activities. It's the same stress and emphasis that he's been putting in his Falshruti. That's why I wanted to read it, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is stressing the same point again and again, jnana karmadi anavritam, that to relinquish these two desires for karma yoga and jnana yoga. Just worship Lord Gauranga, Sri Gadadhar, Sri Advaita, and Lord Nityananda, the original spiritual master. Realize that there is no difference between Gauranga and Krishna. Just try to understand how the spiritual master is very dear to Krishna. Also remember the Lord's associates, such as Srinivas, Haridas, Murari, and Mukunda. Just remember Gauranga, due to ecstasy. Just remember Srinivas and Haridas. Please remember Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, Sri Jiva, Sri Raghunath Bhatta, and Sri Raghunath Das. If you want to worship Krishna, simply remember Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan. Also remember Raghava Pandit, Gopal Bhatta, Swarup Damodar, and Ramananda Rai. If you want to obtain love for Krishna, then just remember Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai. Remember Kavi Kanpur, along with his associates, and remember Shivananda Sen. Try to remember them incessantly. Remember the ecstatic form of worship performed by the devotees who follow in the footsteps of Sri Rupa. If you want to live in Braj, then simply remember the devotees who follow in the footsteps of Sri Rupa. O my restless mind, you never consider how you are engaged in enjoying poisonous sense gratification. You are fully controlled by your enemies, such as lust, anger, illusion, and pride. O brothers, you are attracted by idle talks, material enjoyment, and liberation. You are very fond of gossiping. You are overwhelmed by the desire for name and fame, various superstitions, and the propensity for cheating others. Indeed, you are captured by all these inauspicious symptoms of death, and they certainly are your enemies. Unless you give up these things, how will you obtain the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna? Therefore, give them up with utmost care. Utmost care. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's compassion, his mood. How will you attain the goal of life without associating with saintly persons? Therefore, you must associate with devotees. Just fix your mind at the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, and all kinds of dangers will be vanquished. Carefully consider this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So I just wanted to share that mood of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in relationship really to everything that we're describing here in Jaiva Dharma. It's the complete, as we've said before, the condensed teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Where are we up to?
Second.
So on page 830, Jadedvaita Jnana Hoya Chitta Upadaya Krishna Bhakti Chiradina Upaya Upaya. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upaya, means of attainment, and the upaye, goal worthy of attainment. Jiva kabe jadunai, hare kabunai, hari saha jiva chintya beda bedanai. The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevaladvaita, absolutely one in all means with Sri Hari. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. Such a profound tattva. Achintya Veda Abedata. Mahaprabhu, he brought this tattva himself. I described many times how the Sampradayas, they were all Vastu Parinambad, thinking that Krishna was transforming into the energetic world. But it's Shakti Parinambad. It's Krishna's Shakti that is transforming. And how to understand the distinction between Krishna and the jiva. All of the other Sampradaya acharyas, they had all described aspects of this, but none had fully reconciled this Achintya Beda conception, that we are one and at the same time different. It's a very important tattva. Deha kaba jiva nai, dara bhogya nai, dasa bhogya jiva Krishna Prabhu bhakta hai. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy. The jiva's swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Sri Krishna's swarup is Prabhu, master, and bhakta, enjoyer. Jaiva Dhamma nahi ache deha dharma kata, nahi ache jiva gyan maya vada prata. This book, entitled Jaiva Dhamma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahma. So it's neither anything material. It's not about this karma kand or gyan kand. This is not what he's going to give us. He has to say this, substantiate it, because the jiva is wanting material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy something.
Yes.
So he's thinking, by reading this, I'm going to get some type of pleasure from it. And he will get pleasure if he follows the instructions of it. He'll get the bliss of actually seva to this Krishna Amal seva. Jiva nitya dharma bhakti tahe jada nahi shura jiva prema seva phala paya tai. The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. The jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. So how beautiful. It seems repetitive. It seems like we're saying the same thing daily, daily, daily. But we need to hear the same thing daily, daily, because even though we hear it, we still don't make moves to actually walk in that direction. We can only do that with mercy from Vrindavan, from that spiritual quarter, like that bhajan I just read. We want that mercy of Radha and Krishna through Guru, through our Guru Parampara. That is what will give us the Kripa. And we must become serious, knowing that we're going to die, knowing that we're going to leave these bodies. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, he knew he only had 7 days. If someone has cancer, then that can be very helpful for their bhakti. They can realize that I've only got a brief stay left in this material world. So then just in a matter of weeks, their whole life can be transformed into becoming genuinely enthusiastic for absorbing. If we don't think we're going to die, well, it doesn't really matter. I've got plenty of time to read that. I'll take a few more years. Maybe at the end of my life, I will get serious. It won't work that way. Utsahan nischayat dariyat. Rupa Goswami is saying this utsaha, this enthusiasm to go for. What is the quality of Raganuga Bhakti? Lolyam, greed. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Labite Tatra Lolyam Mulyam Apimulyam Ekalam. That this direct focus of greed. How can we be inspired to that? Sometimes, if we're suffering greatly, it can give us the inspiration to stop the suffering. If the suffering reaches its end, if it becomes so much suffering, then we can only go up from there. Then we can start to use that as a springboard. That is why there's so much suffering in the world, so that hopefully the jiva will get sick of this material endeavor that he's making to be trying to facilitate his material pleasure here, and then take shelter of Radha and Krishna, especially the dhams of Radha and Krishna. When we take shelter of Vrindavan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is just expressing how to do it. You can be living anywhere, but you're remembering Radha and Krishna. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtano Smitya Kramana Rasanam Nasidyoja Tishtem Brajay Tanuragi Janugami Kalam Nayam Akilam Iti Upadesharam. This is the essence of all instruction by Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita. Always be under the guidance of those Brijvasis, remembering Vrindavan, remembering the moods of that Madhurya Ras in Vrindavan, not the Aishwarya, not prompted by fear, but prompted by attraction, enthusiasm. Okay, so we come back. I've got 302. Yes, so now, yesterday, we had quite a heavy go yesterday, I remember. And we were dealing with Krishna's medium-sized form. Is that what we did yesterday? Yeah. And we'll just look at the Das Mula text again, one time. It helps to put us in context. Where are we going here? We're into the Krishna Praman, the first Prameya. This chapter is about the first establishing Krishna, Etekang Sakala Pumsam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. We're trying to establish Krishna as that supreme person and his form as that supreme, beyond the Paramatma, beyond the Brahmajyoti. So Amnaya Praha. We are only going to base all of our progress on the Vedic teachings, that Amnaya Praha, the Shmiti, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. That is our Praman. We have to know that. Then Tattvam Harim Iha Paramam. This is the first one that we're doing now. Krishna is that supreme person, the first Prameya. Then Sarva Shaktim. Krishna is the possessor of all energy. That's the second one. Then Rasabdim, that Rasa Tattva. And then Tat Vibhinamsams. Vibhinamsams means the Jiva, Jiva Tattva, basically in principle. Cha Jivan Prakriti Kabalitam. This is talking about the Jivas who are swallowed by the deluding material energy, the Bada Jivas. So two sorts of Jivas, Bada Jiva and Nitya Jiva. And what? Mukta Jiva. Or Nitya Jiva, yes, Mukta Jiva. So these two types of Jivas. Then Tad Vimuktams Chavaved. Those Jivas who are liberated. The liberated. That's going to be in chapter 15, 16, and 17. These 3 Jiva Tattva chapters. And it's so essential for us to understand Jiva Tattva. We are Jivas, we are conditioned souls. We have to understand this Tattva. If we're confused or vague about this Tattva, then we can't place ourselves clearly in our cosmic position within this world as a tiny little Jivatma coming from Baladev Prabhu, manifesting in the Brahma Jyoti with the Shakti of Tatashta running through our consciousnesses and then entering the body of Mahavishnu, etc. We can't go forward unless we understand this, our origin, clearly. It's so important to understand. Then, Beda Abeda Prakasham Sakalam Apihare. I just explained a little bit about the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva previously. Then, Sadhunam Shuddha Bhakti. This pure bhakti, pure devotion not touched by jnana or karma. Anyabilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishna anujivanam shilanam bhakti uttama. What is uttam bhakti? That uttam bhakti is not a rope siddha bhakti, not sangha siddha bhakti, but it's swarup siddha bhakti. We should know these truths clearly if we're going to go forward. Then the Sadyam Tat Pritim. This is the most beautiful. This is the prayojan. This is the divine love. Everything is emanating from that loving one. We have a hard time even believing in that because this whole world is the opposite. Janma, Mrityu, what is it? Old age and death. Yes, this birth, death, disease, and old age is surrounding us. Everywhere is suffering. How can we think of that love? Not just a material love, but we're trying to put our consciousness in that divine loving realm, the love between Radha and Krishna, and the service to that, and the service that the gopis perform to that love, and the service that all the Brijbasis perform to that love. It's only that world of Vrindavan that is going to take us into Goloka Vrindavan, that consciousness where we want to be living. That's the reality, but we're so convinced that no, this is the reality. No, this is the Maya. This is the deluding energy. This has no value. And then Evati Upadashiti Janam Gaura Chandra Swayam Saha. These are the condensed instructions, teachings of Gaura Chandra. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has seen in his Samadhi Bhasya and is gifting to us today in the depth of Kali Yuga, this Jaiva Dharma. So yesterday we were talking about, I'll just read the last couple of sentences from the paragraph previously. The eternal pastimes, Nitya Lila of Bhagavan, are sometimes indicated in the Vedas by the direct expression of the words, and in many places the indirect approach describes the glories of Brahm and Paramatma. So Brahm and Paramatma are indirect. They're not direct. It's not directly Bhagavan. It's not directly Krishna. It's an indirect approach going through Paramatma or the Brahma Jyoti. And it's so dangerous because if we go that path, we can stay there forever. So we must know what that path is. In fact, it is the pledge of all the Vedas to describe Sri Krishna's glories. That's very beautiful. That's very sweet to appreciate. It is the pledge of all the Vedas to describe Sri Krishna's glories. Krishna means all attractive. Krishna is the most beautiful. He's the origin of beauty, Lavanamrita. So to place our consciousnesses in him, everything he's doing is trying to reawaken our attraction to him. Because our attraction is eternally residing in our hearts. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kavunai. This Krishna Prem is an eternal fact within the heart of the jiva. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavasya saranat nitya siddhyasya bhavasya. It's eternally there within. So therefore we say to wake up, which means I already have an impression of that. It's like bhakti comes from bhakti, from the person who has bhakti, but bhakti is an inherent commodity within the jiva that is going to be woken up by the spiritual master. So it makes some people think, well, if I'm going to be woken up, it means I've already been awake before. No, you haven't been awake. It's exactly like a seed. A seed has never been a big tree, but it has the potential to be a big tree. And once you wake up and start the growth of that sprout, then it will become a big tree. So like that sprout in the heart, that will manifest in its affection towards Krishna, that Krishna Prem, that Lata Bij will grow to entwine itself in the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. It's there in the potential, so it will get woken up, reawoken. Brajanath, Babaji Mahashai, there is no doubt that Bhagavan Sri Hari is Paratattva. But what is the position of the Devatas, such as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Surya, and Ganesh? Please be merciful and explain this to me. Many Brahmins worship Mahadev as the highest Brahma Tattva. I took birth in one such Brahmana family, so I have been hearing and saying this from my birth. Until now, I want to know the actual truth. This is a very beautiful question for many people who have been brought up focusing on Mahadev or any of the Devas. This is why in the first 7, 8 cantos of the Bhagavatam, there's so many examples of the pastimes in Swaga and how they're so flawed, how there's so much difficulty for them in their various controversies. How Indra, he commits the offense of ignoring Brihaspati, and then he has to accept another guru, Vishwarup, and then Vishwarup is coming from a mixed caste. His mother is a demon, so he's performing oblations to the demons at the same time as empowering with the Narayan Kavacha all the demigods. And then Indra, he gets to know of this and chops his heads off. 3 heads he has. And then he has to take shelter in Mansarovar for, I think it's 100 years or 1,000 years, he has to take shelter there in the stalk of a flower, trying to hide from this death personified is coming to attack him. So all these problems that go there, so it should be indicating to us this is not a transcendental abode. Swagaloka is not transcendental. Do we want something halfway, or do we want the full transcendental abode? We want the full transcendental truth. Yes, that's what we want. So Shiv Tattva, Brahma Tattva, Lord Brahma Tattva, Surya Tattva, Ganesh Tattva, should we be worshipping them? Brajanath is asking this. Babaji, I shall presently describe to you the respective qualities of the ordinary living beings, the worshipable devatas and devis, and of Sri Bhagavan. This is very important to know the qualities of these personalities that are going to be revealed in the next few minutes today. Through the gradation of their respective qualities, you can easily understand the truth regarding the supreme object of worship. What a beautiful way to answer the question. He's going to give the qualities, according to the Veda, of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, in comparison to Lord Narayan, in comparison to Brajendranandan Shamsundar. That's what we're going to hear today.
Ayam netasu ramyangha sarvasal lakshananvitaha ruchiras tejasa yukto baliyan vayasanvitaha.
These are the qualities of Sri Krishna, the supreme hero. He is, 1, endowed with delightfully charming bodily limbs. 2, endowed with all auspicious characteristics. 3, beautiful. 4, radiant. 5, strong. And 6, eternally youthful.
Vividha bhuta bhashavid satyavakya priyam vadaha वावादुकः सुपाण्डित्यो बुद्धिमान् प्रतिभान्वितः
7. Conversant with many kinds of astonishing languages. 8. Truthful. 9. A pleasing speaker. 10. Eloquent. 11. Intelligent. 12. Learned. 13. Resourceful.
विदग्धश्चतुरो दक्षः कृत ज्ञः सुदृढव्रतः देशकाल सुपत्राज्ञः शास्त्रचक्षुषुचिर्वशी
14. Expert in relishing mellows. 15. Clever. 16. Expert. 17. Grateful. 18. Very firm in his vows. 19. An astute judge of time, place, and circumstance. 20. A seer through the eyes of Shastra. 21. Pure. And 22. Self-controlled.
स्थिरोदान्तः क्षमाशीलो गम्भीरो धृतिमान् समः वदान्यो धर्मिकः शूरः करुणो मान्यमान् कृत्
23. Steadfast. 24. Forbearing. 25. Forgiving. 26. Inscrutable. 27. Sober. 28. Equipoised. 29. Munificent. 30. Virtuous. 31. Chivalrous. 32. Compassionate. 33. Respectful to others.
दक्षिणो विनयैरीमान् शरणागतपालकः सुखी भक्तः सुहृत्प्रेम वश्यः शुभङ्करः
34. Amiable. 35. Modest. 36. Shy. 37. The protector of surrendered souls. 38. Happy. 39. The well-wisher of his bhaktas. 40. Controlled by prem. 41. The benefactor of all.
प्रतापी कीर्तिमान रक्तलोकः साधु समाश्रयः नारीगण मनोहारी सर्वाराध्य समृद्धिमान
42. The tormentor of his enemies. 43. Famous. 44. Beloved by all. 45. Partial to the side of the sadhus. 46. The enchanter of women's minds. 47. All worshipable. 48. All opulent.
वर्यान् ईश्वरश्चेति गुणास्तस्यानुकीर्तिताः समुद्रा इव पञ्चाशत् दुर्विगाः हरेरमी
49. Superior to all. And 50. The controller. These 50 qualities are present in Bhagavan Sri Hari to an unlimited degree, like the unfathomable ocean. They are present to a minute degree in the jivas. Minute. This is the Achintya Beda precept. These qualities are present in us, but to a minute degree. But Krishna, it's unlimited. Whereas they are fully represented in Purushottam Bhagavan. Another 5 of Krishna's qualities are present in Brahma, Shiva, and other devatas, but not in ordinary jivas.
सदा स्वरूप संप्राप्तः सर्वज्ञो नित्यनूतनः सच्चिद आनंद सांद्रांगः सर्वसिद्धि निषेवितः
51. He is always situated in his swarup. 52. He is omniscient. 53. He is ever fresh and new. 54. He is the concentrated form of existence, knowledge, and bliss. And 55. He is served by all mystic opulences. So these are the qualities within Brahma, Shiva, Surya Deva, etc. Those empowered masters of this material universe, the Devas. These 55 qualities are partially present in the Devas.
अथोच्यन्ते गुणा पंचये लक्ष्मी सादिवर्तिनः अविचिन्त्य महाशक्ति कोटि ब्रह्मांड विग्रह अवतारवली बीजम हतारी गतिदायकः आत्माराम गणा कर्षिति आमि कृष्ण किलाद्भुता
Lakshmi Pati Narayan has an additional 5 qualities. 56. He possesses inconceivable potencies. 57. Innumerable universes are situated within his body. 58. He is the original cause or seed of all avatars. 59. He awards gati, a higher destination, to those whom he kills. And 60. He can attract even those who are atmaram, satisfied within the self. These additional 5 qualities are not present in Brahma or Shiva, but they are wonderfully present in Sri Krishna in their most complete form. Besides these 60 qualities, Sri Krishna himself has 4 extra qualities, namely,
सर्वाद्भुत चमत्कार लीला कलोल वारिधि अतुल्य माधुर्य प्रेम मंडित प्रिय मंडलः त्रिजगन मानसाकर्षि मुरली कल कुजितः अस्मानोरध्व रूप श्री विस्मापित चराचरः
61. He is like a vast ocean teeming with the waves of the most astonishing and wonderful leelas. 62. He is adorned with incomparable Madhurya Prem, and thus is auspiciousness personified for his beloved bhaktas, who also have unparalleled Prem for him. 63. He attracts the 3 worlds with the marvelous vibration of his murli, flute. And 64. The resplendent roop, beauty of his transcendental form is unparalleled, charming and astonishing to all moving and non-moving entities in the 3 worlds. These are the 4 extra qualities, yes.
लीला प्रेमणा प्रियाधिक्यम माधुर्य वेणुरूपायो इति असाधारणम रणम प्रोक्तम गोविंदस्य चतुष्टयम्.
Sri Krishna's 64 qualities and symptoms have been described, including Lila Madhuri, Prem Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Rup Madhuri. These are 4 extraordinary qualities that he alone possesses. So we've discussed 64 qualities here. Out of those 64 qualities, the first 50 are in a minute degree represented in the jivas, but to a greater extent represented in the devatas. And then there are another 5, and they are specific to Shiva, Brahm, Ganesh, and the higher devatas. So that makes 55. And then 60, this is the description of Lord Narayan. He is omniscient, etc. So he has these 5 extra qualities on top of Lord Brahma or Shiva. So his question was, how I've been worshipping Lord Shiva since birth, how am I supposed to now focus on Krishna as being the Supreme Personality? This is how, because now we're supposed to recognize Shivji's extraordinary greatness, but in comparison to Brajendranandan's greatness, it's insignificant in a sense. So it's not the height of the Prayojan. It's not the Prayojan Tattva to worship Shivji. You see how beautifully he's answered the question? 50 qualities, and then 55, and then 60, and then 64. So this breakdown is there very clearly. Now try to remember where this is in Jaiva Dharma. It's at the very end of chapter 13. So you very often may want to reference this in description, because certainly here in India, many people get confused about this point. And if immediately you can open this up and familiarize them with all these qualities, which are very great in Lord Shiva. It doesn't diminish Lord Shiva. It doesn't diminish Lord Brahma. It just shows them ontologically where they are in relationship to Krishna. They are not the supreme masters of existence. Krishna is the supreme master of existence. This is the purpose of knowing this. These 64 qualities are fully and eternally manifest in Sri Krishna. When he says Sri Krishna, this means Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar Krishna, who is the embodiment of Sat Chit Ananda. The last 4 qualities are present only in Sri Krishna's Swarup and not in any of the other pastime forms. Apart from these 4 qualities, the remaining 60 qualities are brilliantly situated in their complete and fully conscious state of Sri Narayan, who is the embodiment of transcendence. Setting aside the last 5 of these 60 qualities, the remaining 55 are present to some extent in Shiva, Brahma, and other devatas. And the first 50 qualities are present to a very limited degree in all the jivas. So these qualities that are present in Shiva, Brahma, and Ganesh, etc., are not like 100%. They don't have these qualities 100%. These always situated in his swarup. These are the last 5, or the 5 extra, the 55 of Brahma and Shiva. He is omniscient. Shivji isn't totally omniscient. Lord Brahma is not totally omniscient.
Means like in these 64 qualities, like all these 58 quality also not fully present on them, like little bit of present on all of them.
Much, much more than in us.
Yeah.
But not as great as in Brajendraland and Shah. This is the point. It's all comparative. It's by percentages. We can see that they have these qualities. Yes, they have these qualities, but they're not in the same degree of intensity. Just like we have qualities.
Yes.
We have perhaps a little quality of tolerance, but the full 100% quality of a tolerance doesn't exist in the jiva. We don't have that ability to tolerate in the same degree. But if we are empowered by the pure devotee, then that empowerment can add to all the percentages of these qualities within the jiva. Just like the spark from a fire can start a whole other fire. So that spark from Sadguru can ignite the purity within us. And then we also can manifest to a much greater degree these 50 qualities of the jiva. Because at the moment, we're only manifesting a very small percentage of these 50 qualities. Those qualities that we just read so beautifully. What was that? Expert in relishing mellows, clever, expert, grateful, very firm in his vows. We have all a little bit of this. A seer through the eyes of Shastra, pure, to what degree are we pure? To some degree. But by mercy of our Guru Parampara, we can become very pure. We can realize our complete pureness. But it's only up to 50%. We won't come to the same purity as these other personalities. We don't have that capacity. We don't have that adhikar. I think that's right. Setting aside the last 5 of these 60 qualities, the remaining 55 are present to some extent in Shiva, Brahma, and other devatas. And the first 50 qualities are present to a very limited degree in all jivas. The devatas such as Shiva, Brahma, Surya, Ganesh, and Indra are endowed with Bhagavan's partial qualities in order to run the affairs of the material universe. That's the purpose to their being granted these qualities. They have received a special measure of Bhagavan's opulences to do this, so they are considered one type of special incarnation. Yes, they're partial incarnations, we can say, because they're doing tremendous service. They need that, like Vayudev. Without the air of Vayudev, everything would just collapse. So Vayudev has to be tremendously potent, powerful person. Without the form of Agnidev, how would we even digest our food? What to speak of the other fires in existence? So they have to be empowered to distribute this. This is why they're empowered. They have received a special measure of Bhagavan's opulences to do this, so they are considered one type of special incarnation. The inherent and constitutional nature of all these devatas is that they are Bhagavan's servants, and many jivas have obtained Bhagavad Bhakti through their mercy. Many people come to this path of bhakti, for example, through Lord Shiva. Many people get inspired with by Lord Shiva himself. Lord Shiva himself will encourage the conditioned jiva. Yes, take shelter of Krishna, take shelter. And he can orchestrate, he has that potency to inspire in the heart of the jiva. and attraction towards bhakti. He has that ability because they're always thinking of the welfare of the conditioned jivas, especially someone like Lord Shiva. He can empower the jiva to take shelter of Krishna. The inherent and constitutional nature of all the devas is that they are Bhagavan's servants, and many jivas have obtained Bhagavat Bhakti through their mercy. Since they are so much more qualified than other jivas, they are also considered to be among the worshipable deities of the jivas, depending on the jiva's qualification and level of consciousness. But we should become very concerned for this and careful for this. My Gurudev used to go into many people's homes, Indian family homes in particular, and sometimes he'd see their altar filled with the devas, and he'd become very unhappy. And if he was friendly sufficient with them, if they were open, he would ask them to take all the devas off the altar so they could just focus their nishta, that Aikantika bhakti, on Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath perhaps. Just these personalities and our Rupanuga Guru Vargya. So only these personalities is what we want to focus on. If we're focusing on Suryadev, Ganesh, Saraswati, Lord Brahma, these other, then our nishta is going to be divided. We're going to become compromised. We won't be one-pointed. We'll be distracted towards a little bit of seva here, a little bit of seva there. In many houses in Navadvip I go in, I see all these devas are there because they haven't been educated sufficiently in this particular topic that we're reading today. These 64 qualities and the breakdown of them. 50 in the jivas, 55 in the higher devas, and then 60 in Lord Narayan and 64 in Krishna. Remember forever this breakdown of these 64 qualities. So all of those qualities, even those 55 qualities, they're not the complete 64. So why should you? Our life is so limited. We have so short a time to offer our puja and worship to these divine personalities. So we should just have the focus absolutely clear, like the arrow on the eye of the bird that Arjuna had to shoot through the reflection at the Swayamvara festival when the wheel was going around. What concentration did he have looking in the oil and then aiming his bow to get through the spokes of the wheel to pierce the eye of the bird? Not just the bird, but the eye of the bird. Because when he was performing this task, then previously with Dronacharya, he had tested them in with a similar type of a test. And he placed a bird in a tree, and he asked Bhima to hit the bird. He said to Bhima, "What do you see?" Bhima said, "Oh, I see the tree, I see the leaves, I see the branches, and I see the bird." Yudhisthira the same. Nakul, Sahadev same. But when it came to Arjuna, he said, "What do you see, Arjuna?" "I just see the eye of the bird." "What else do you see, Arjuna?" "Nothing else. I only see the eye of the bird. I only see that one-pointed focus." So it's that one-pointed focus that we must have for Radha and Krishna's seva if we're going to achieve that seva successfully in this brief lifetime. So therefore, having your altar filled with other deities is not going to be conducive for your ekantika bhakti, your one-focused bhakti. It won't be. Performing their puja is therefore considered a secondary limb of the rules and regulations of Bhagavad Bhakti. Secondary limb. A secondary limb. That means we're going to be distracted. How many years do we have to perform puja in this world? Not so many years. So if it's going to be distracted by worshipping the devas, then we're going to be losing time just worshipping and focusing on Radha and Krishna. They are always worshipped as the gurus of the jivas. Yes, they can be worshipped of the gurus. They can be helping us, be guiding us. We should always, don't misunderstand this. We should have the greatest respect for these masters of the universe, for these personalities. Every day I'm going to see Varunadev, the god of the ocean, and I'm saying prayers to Varunadev, honoring him. I'm seeing Suryadev every day. I'm honoring Suryadev. My Gurudev would honor Suryadev daily. He would honor all the different personalities in this material world. So this all has to be balanced. In the early days when Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was speaking about the Devas, then the devotees didn't understand properly. They started to disrespect the Devas. No, this is not our path at all. We should fully respect the Devas but know where they are in relationship to Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. We should also know where Dwarkadish is in relationship to Brajendranandan, and where Mathuresh Krishna, where Parthasarthi is in relationship. My Gurudev gave his life for this description to enhance our appreciation of Madhurya Dham. What is the nature of Vrindavan? Because this is the gift that Rupa Goswami has given us. He's given us the gift of Braja Prem. Mahaprabhu is giving Bhakti Ras. Bhakti Ras is described as when the function of bhakti is absolutely pure. These are the exact words he uses to describe Bhakti Ras. When the function of devotion, the function of bhakti is absolutely pure, then Bhakti Ras will raise its head. Then we can appreciate Bhakti Ras. So similarly with the Devas, we should appreciate what is the ultimate place of worship. And of course, at the same time, it's like in a school, you're honoring the principal of the school, but you're also honoring all the other teachers in the school with great respect. You're even honoring all the children in the school with great respect. There should be respect everywhere in our lives, regardless. There should never be a cause for disrespect. But we have our Ishtadev. We have that personality who reigns supreme. And we know these 64 qualities. Especially we should know by heart these 4 Madhuris, because Lord Narayan doesn't have these 4 Madhuris. He doesn't play a flute. He doesn't have astonishing leelas. He doesn't have these astonishing relationships with the gopis, etc. He has many Lakshmis. So this prem of Lord Narayan is not to the same degree. Why did Gop Kumar not want to stay with Lord Narayan? He wanted to go further. He wasn't satisfied there. With the power of his mantra, he went further. So we should appreciate this. It's called ontological path, this path of these truths. So this whole chapter, this first chapter on the Das Mula, is elaborating very clearly the supreme sadhya, the supreme goal, the prayojan. That's what it's doing. And it's culminating here so beautifully with a description of these 64 qualities for us, to know emphatically that it's only Brajendranandan who has these 64, not Lord Shiva, not Lord Brahma, not Ganesh, not Suryadev. These personalities are great. They have 5 qualities extra than the Jivas. Read those. What are those 5 qualities extra? He is always situated in his Swarup. This is such a mighty quality. He is omniscient. He is ever fresh and new. He is the concentrated form of existence, knowledge, and bliss. He is served by all mystic opulences. Lord Brahma is served by all mystic opulences. That's why he becomes so bewildered by Krishna's opulences, because he's thinking that actually he has all mystic opulences in his hand. And when he sees that Aghasura Swarup, or soul, merging into the lotus feet of Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar, he's amazed and he thinks, I have to test this boy. This boy thinks he has so much mystic opulence, I have to test him. So then he stole the cows and cowherd boys. He became bewildered by his own mystic opulences. But was his mystic opulence any challenge at all for Krishna? Just in a fraction of a second, Krishna manifested all those Vishnu manifestations from his body of every single cowherd boy. There were thousands and thousands of cowherd boys, and every particular boy had his own characteristic, his own colored cloth, his own ornaments, horn, etc., his own bugle, his own flute, all his own attire, etc., everything exactly according to those boys, their identities. They couldn't be recognized by their mothers as not their original boy. Actually, they were recognized by their mothers as something even more beautiful than their original boy. Nobody understood Krishna's mystic opulence, especially Lord Brahma. And when Lord Brahma returned, after just a very short space of time, which in fact was 1 year for here, then he saw Krishna was with all the other cowherd boys and the calves. Then he looked in the cave with 2 of his heads and he saw they were still there in the cave. Then he looked back again and he saw they were here. He was completely bewildered. Brahma Vimohan. Vimohan means bewilderment of Lord Brahma. And then when Krishna revealed actually the nature of all those cowherd boys, or each single cowherd boy was being worshipped by millions of devatas, because each cowherd boy was a Vishnu manifestation. He was being worshipped by Kala, time. He was being worshipped by the 3 modes of material nature. He was being worshipped by so many personalities. It's described. Just each boy was being worshipped by all of these different, by the material energy. Each boy was being, because it's Lord Vishnu. A full manifestation of Lord Vishnu was in each particular cowherd boy. So what did Lord Brahma see? It's described in the Bhagavatam that his senses became jolted. Jolted means like that, really smashed, really intensely woken up, jolted. And then the devas, they would never touch the earth. But in this instance, it's described Lord Brahma got down from his swan carrier and put his feet on the ground. And then he did full prostrated obeisances to Krishna with tears completely in his eyes at the astonishing phenomena that he had witnessed. When he saw all this, it jolted his senses. He couldn't absorb Lord Brahma is quite a special personality. He makes all the 14 planetary systems, or 15 planetary systems if we count the Earth. All the different planetary, he's manifesting them from his body. He's seen a lot of phenomena. He's seen a lot of mystic opulences. Just from his backside, so many demons come out. From his sleeping, so many entities emerge. Just from his thoughts, so many entities emerge. How many mystical opulences has he seen? He's designed, he's the architect of this whole creation. It's enormous what he's actually accomplished. But when he had darshan of Brajendranandan and all the cowherd boys, he was completely more than astonished, totally astonished. And then he's saying prayers, and Krishna is practically ignoring him. He's just holding a little piece of curd rice in his hand, and he's looking. He's saying, "Oh, great Lord Brahma, why are you worshipping? I'm just a little cowherd boy." He was still carrying on with his pretended cover, so to speak. It's working? So this is Lord Brahma in connection to Krishna, Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar Krishna. They are always worshipped as the guru of the jivas. That means the devatas, but not in the same sense as our Rupanuga Guru Vargya. We are always worshipping them as like guru because they're orchestrating the weather, or they used to orchestrate the weather. Now man is trying to orchestrate the weather, but the devas, they have the last word in it. For they are always worshipped as the gurus of the jivas, for they mercifully bestow upon them one-pointed Krishna bhakti. They can support our bhakti. They will not give us bhakti, but they can support our bhakti through the potency of Yogamaya. When we actually start to become liberated from Mahamaya, then Yogamaya will start to direct the sadhak. We will find that all our material desires become very, very easily fulfilled because Yogamaya now knows, oh, you want bhakti. Then I will support you in order for your bhakti to manifest and flourish. She will provide a conducive environment. That might mean taking away all your wealth. It might be giving you more wealth. It might be all kinds of different material aspects to support your bhakti. But it's Yogamaya who will do this now. Yogamaya will help us. So Yogamaya is also manifesting auspiciousness from the Deva's point of view also. For they mercifully bestow upon them one-pointed Krishna bhakti. Mahadev, the Ishvara of the Devas, yeah, he's the Ishvara of the Devas. He possesses those same 5 extra qualities, but to a greater percentage than Lord Brahma has. He has a greater percentage of those mystical opulences even than Lord Brahma, his father. He is the greatest of all the Devas. How else could he drink the ocean of the poison coming from when the churning was going on? How else could he actually bring the Vedic teachings back into India that Lord Buddha had chased out? Acharya does so many amazing works in service to Krishna. So Shivji is immensely powerful. But who is Shivji himself? Shiv Tattva is phenomenal. He's the only, he is Swa-anks. He's not Vibhinams. In fact, there are 4 Shivas we should appreciate. There's Gopishwa Mahadev, and then there is Sada Shiva in the spiritual world, then there is Shambhu, and then there is Rudra. Rudra is in this world, but they're all Shiv Tattva. They all have that omniscient potency of Shiv Tattva, except in Rudra, for example, it's not manifest to the same degree as it's manifest in Sadashiv. Shambhu, for example, he carries the glance from Mahavishnu in and impregnates this material world. He kicks off this whole cosmic manifestation. It's all coming from Shambhu. It's not coming from Lord Brahma at the very beginning. Lord Brahma manifests afterwards from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. But before that, the seed has to manifest in this world. That's coming from Shambhu. Shambhu is the first personality. And Shambhu has his origin with Sadashiva. Sadashiva's origin is with Gopishwa Mahadev. So this is the ontological appreciation of who is Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is the one who's mentioned here. So understanding who is Mahadev. Mahadev is so extraordinarily special and exceptional. And we know even in Krishna Lila that Shivji, he manifests from the right side of Krishna at Vamsivat in order to protect the Rasastali. And he's that Ketrapal. He's protecting the Rasastali from any kind of entity that may try to actually enter there. So Shivji has tremendous connection. And him himself is Swamsa. But there's a distinction between Shivji's coming from Krishna, like Swa-anks means coming from the body of Krishna. All the Swamsa are all sitting in their own Godhead, like Baladev Prabhu, like Korma, Varaha, Shinga. They all have their own planets, and they're all residing there in their own full Godhead. But Shivji is not like that. Shivji, even though he's Swamsa, he's thinking that he's a servant of the Supreme Lord. He's Swamsa Bhav Abbas. He's thinking that he's actually a servant of the Supreme. This is a key to understanding Shiva Tattva. Who is Shiva meditating on? He's meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Ram. He's meditating on Sankarshan. He's meditating on Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar. This is who he's meditating on. The Shringadev is that personality of Godhead, and he's residing in his own Godhead. But Shivji is not. Shivji is worshipping Krishna. There's a huge distinction. That's why it's a little tricky to understand Shiva Tattva. But essentially, it's quite simple when we understand this Swamsa. He is Swamsa, but Bhav Abbas, as if he's not Swamsa. He is Swamsa, but he's considering himself not to be like that because he's worshipping that Supreme Lord. Whereas all the other avatars, they are residing in their own Godhead. Like Lord Nrsingadev is the master of his planet. He is God himself. He's like Narayan. Like in the Vaikuntha planets, that's who he is. That is who. He's knowing who is Brajendranandan, etc. But he himself is in his own manifest state of Godhead. But Shivji is not like that. Shivji is in Kailash. What is Shivji doing in Kailash? He's sitting with Bhavani or Parvati, and he's discussing with all these sages and sadhus about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan or about Ram Leela. This is what he's discussing, the personalities of Godhead. Mahadev, the Ishwara of the Devas, is so complete in Bhagavad Bhakti that he is perceived as non-different from Bhagavad Tattva. We see at Harihara Ketra in Navadvip, we see Vishnu and Shivji in the same form. Vishnu himself says, we, you and I are one. So we have the blackish form and the whitish form. This is Shiva and Vishnu together. But still they're not the same. Still Shivji hasn't these 4 extra, he doesn't have the 5 extra qualities of Lord Narayan either. He has 55 qualities. This is the reason that Mayavadis worship him as the supreme Brahm Tattva. So thus ends the 13th chapter of Jaiva Dharma. Now there's a footnote here in my book from page 296. I want to read it quickly because I want to complete this chapter today. Another understanding of this shloka, so let's just look back on 296. What was the shloka that was being discussed? 296. Oh, I saw a boy who appeared in the dynasty of cowherds.
Below that, Gurudev.
Huh?
Below that.
Below that, oh. Yeah. By rendering...
Yeah.
Shamyak Chabalam Prapadye Shambalak Chayamam Prapadye. By rendering seva to Krishna, one attains his transcendental abode, which is full of spiritual bliss and astonishing, variegated leelas, and within that chit jagat, one attains the eternal shelter of Krishna. Now there's a footnote there, because my Gurudev wrote these footnotes. That footnote, just another understanding of this shloka is that the word Shyam refers to Krishna, and the word Shyam or Krishna, meaning black, describes the Nirgun Paratattva, which is black, which, like black, is colorless, while the word Shabala, meaning Gaura, refers to one who is endowed with variegated colors. In other words, when Paratattva is endowed with all transcendental qualities, he is called Gaura. The secret meaning of this mantra is that one attains Gaura by performing Krishna bhajan, and one attains Krishna by performing Gaura bhajan. Very, very, very beautiful addition here that my Gurudev has kindly, mercifully given us. So Radha and Krishna are one. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmat. And that personality of Sachinandan Gaurahari is the same as Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. So now we've reached the chapter 14. We've covered one Prameya. Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. And we've covered the Amnaya. We went through those. This is what was especially these last pages describing the qualities of Krishna, is so pivotal to understanding all the devas. You should have no doubt now where all the devas are in their particular. They are all great, but they are not as great as Brajendranan and Sham Sundar. So we don't need to worship them and get distracted. So all glories to our Jaiva Dharma, all glories to our most beloved Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. So there won't be any class tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. So I'll be on a Bhagavatam class tomorrow. So no class tomorrow, but back again on Monday. Thank you very much. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.